Welcome back in one of the Bears Travel Plays YouTube channel. Today is Tuesday, November 19th, and I'm back breaking down a few more plays for college football. We have two game picks tonight, a top 25 matchup between Purdue and Marquette I'm going to look at, and then we have a Cleveland State going up against Minnesota game, two game picks, two player props. Before that, let's take a look at the Michigan and Miami, Ohio game. Currently on right now, it is 6:17 p.m. Central Time. It was a 6-point lead for Michigan at the half. No defense in this game. Not even a shred of defense in this game. I'm pretty sure it's at a TV timeout right now. I'm pretty sure Michigan's on like a 12-2 run. But I will check that. It's still commercial. I will check that for you guys for a live update on that. Our player prop, Cam Kraft, over his total points. Nowhere to be found. Nowhere. PrizePicks, nope. DraftKings, nope. FanDuel, nope. Never came out. I saw a bunch of Michigan player props, just never any for Miami, Ohio. So that didn't come out. He had 8 points in the half. I kind of wish it did come out because it probably going to have been like 13.5 points. I don't know if he scored in the second half, but I'm sure he has. So that one's going to hurt. But we do have Michigan minus 21.5 as the play is what I got it at that morning. So hopefully they continue this run and they continue to play well. But let's take a look at the matchups we have for tomorrow. We're going to start with a game that you can watch on TV. Have a lot of matchups tomorrow, but only a few that you can watch on TV, watch your bet play out. We're going to go with Cleveland State going up against Minnesota. I'm going to play Minnesota against the spread. I have to assume it's going to be like 20-plus points that Minnesota is going to be favored by. They're a pretty good team this season. They should be a really good defensive team on the year. If the first three games have taught us anything about Minnesota, it's that they can put the clamps on teams. Minnesota also has one of the best players in the country on their team, Dawson Garcia. I'm going to break him down as one of my player props. They should be just fine in this game covering the spread. Looking at Cleveland State, they have two players. It is 52-36 currently with 15:52 left for Michigan. So it's looking really good so far. Good start to the second half. Currently for Cleveland State, though, this team has two players scoring double-digit points per game. First one's Dylan Arnett. He's been with Cleveland State for 3 seasons. His junior year, last season, scored 5 points per game. It doesn't make me excited to look at Cleveland State and bet on Cleveland State. Other players, same thing. Tevin Smith, Cleveland State, 2 years, scoring 10 points per game last season. This team has a couple transfers, a true freshman scoring 9 points per game. Everybody else is just single digits, low single digits. They just don't have enough talent, I think, to keep up with a guy like Minnesota, with a team like Minnesota and a guy like Dawson Garcia. I'm not saying Minnesota's going to be one of the best teams in college basketball, but I do expect them to be very competitive in the Big Ten Conference. They do have a loss this season going up against North Texas, but they just beat Yale, who's typically a pretty good team, and they have a big win against Oral Roberts, their first game of the season. The reason I think this can be a blowout is Dawson Garcia. And Dawson Garcia was a very good player last season. He might be one of the best players, though, in the nation this season. So far, scoring 25. I'll save that for later. He's going to be a massive problem for Cleveland State. And besides Garcia, Minnesota doesn't really have anybody scoring above double-digit points. They have a lot of guys hovering around 8, 7, 6 points. One of those transfers from Charleston, he scored 14.6 points per game last season, averaging 8.5 points so far this season. Lucy Patterson is his name. Another guy, Brennan Rigsby, also a transfer coming over from Oregon. He's joining Patterson as one of those guards. So they've got a lot of good guards. They've got an awesome forward in Dawson Garcia. I think Minnesota's going to be the heavy favorite, mainly because of their defensive play. They can lock up this team. They can lock up Cleveland State. They might score 70 points in this game, Minnesota. I don't know if Cleveland State gets to 50. I'm going to take Minnesota against the spread as the first play. For this next play, we're going to be looking at the top 25 matchup, Marquette going up against Purdue. We're taking Marquette against the spread. I think they can win this game pretty easily. And looking at the Golden Eagles, we've got a lot of familiar faces, starting with Cam Jones, 24 points per game so far this season. Going to break him down as my other player prop. We have David Joplin. He's a forced down low, play with Marquette last season. Significant minutes, not as much of a scorer, but he's a very good defender. And looking at his numbers, maybe he's taken a step forward in the scoring department, 13 points per game so far. We also have Chase Ross returning to Marquette. He's starting this season, scoring 13 points per game. And I think Marquette's going to be one of those teams who might not have the most talent in the world, but they've got a ton of team chemistry. They brought back nearly everybody from last season, but most of the players were either role players or bench players besides Cam Jones. I still think they're going to be very good in this game going up against Purdue. And Purdue, they're no joke. They're a pretty good team themselves. They're ranked number 6 in the country. They just beat Alabama. Alabama was the number 2 team in the country. I still think Marquette can win this game pretty easily. They're going to just outscore Purdue, plain and simple. The leading scorer for Purdue, Trey Kaufman-Renn. He scored 18 points per game so far this season. He only played 16 minutes per game last season, but he's the leading scorer this season. We have Lawyer and Smith coming back, the guard trio, or the guard duo, I should say, for Purdue last season. Those guys are elite. If you remember them throwing lobs to Zach Edey, that was really fun to watch. That's where we can probably stop talking about Purdue, though, because they have 3 players scoring 15.5 points or more. Next highest player, 6.5 points. So if we can shut down those 3 players, Purdue might be in trouble. I think Marquette can give them a lot of fits on the defensive side. Marquette last season, very good defensively. They brought a lot of players back who were good defensively last season. Alabama does not play a very good defense. Purdue took advantage of that, scoring 85-plus points. I will be absolutely shocked if Purdue puts 80-plus points in this game. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Marquette's a very good defense. I'm going to take Marquette against the spread. They're going to win this game outright as the play. Let's go over to the best player props of the day. We're going to start with our guy, Dawson Garcia. Already touched on him a little bit. Over his total points going up against Cleveland State. I don't have a lot to say because there's really not a lot to say about this guy. He has scored no less than 24 points per game this season. He was very good last season, more of a double-double guy last season because Minnesota had a couple players up top who can score a lot of points. But this season, everything goes through Dawson Garcia. And if double teams come, perfectly fine. Minnesota has guard play that they can get to the rim, they can get to the hole, they can get to the free throw line. So go ahead and double team him. Garcia has also been really good at passing out of trouble usually. He's got a little bit of Joker in him. Not saying he's Nikola Jokic because nobody's Nikola Jokic, but he's got a little bit in him. And going up against an opponent like Cleveland State, he's going to be able to get double teamed at times, find the right guy for an open shot. I don't know if the player prop's going to come out at 24.5 points because he hasn't scored less than 24 points in any game this season. I'm assuming between 16 and 20-point mark. But I'll tell you this, whatever it comes out at, I'm going to play it because Minnesota has to go through him. Cleveland State's not a good team. I'm going to take his over total points as the first player prop of the day. Second player prop of the night, we're going to look at the top 25 matchup, Marquette against Purdue. Purdue was able to hold Alabama to less than 80 points, but Alabama had another poor shooting night because Purdue, they're giving up 43% to opposing teams. That's actually a pretty high number for some of the better teams in the country. Teams are scoring 71.3 points per game on Purdue. That's 141st defense in the nation. So on paper, they're really not that great of a defensive team. They still have all 4 wins in the season, 4-0. I think Cam Thomas will be able to have his way in this game. He's been able to have his way in every game so far this season, basically, besides one game that I'm going to touch on here against Central Michigan, of all teams. Central Michigan MAC basketball had 9 points in that one, only shot 9 times as well. He scored 24-plus points in 3 of the other 4 games, having 32 points in the first game of the season, 28 points in the last game against Maryland. He shot 18 times, made 10 of those, 55.6% from the field, and he's got the 3-ball working. 3 shots from the outside that he made. I think he's going to have a monster performance against this Purdue team. Top 25 matchup. He's the best player on the floor. He's going to play like it. Give me his over total points as the final play of the day. Let's go over the recap graphic. We're going to be looking at Minnesota against the spread. 17.5 if we're lucky. I think it's going to be 20-plus. Marquette against the spread. They will probably be the favorite. I'm assuming -3.5, -4.5, somewhere around there. Dawson Garcia without the N on the graphic because I can't type. Over his total points. If it's over 22.5, let's put it at over 23.5. If it's over 23.5, I'm not going to touch it. I mean, that's a high number. He scored 24-plus points in every game, but 23.5 is going to be the cap on that one. Then Cam Jones, over his total points, that one should be definitely below 20. I'm thinking like 16.5, 17.5 as the final play. And I'll leave you guys with a 20-point margin for Michigan right now. So if they win the next 10 minutes by 2 points, we'll be in business. All right? That's going to do it for the NCAA basketball picks and props for Tuesday, November 19th slated games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please share, drop a like on this video, and subscribe to the channel below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.